Hello everyone, my name is Smith of Lies and this is my first Infinity Wars Classic deck spotlight video. Today we will be looking at a FlameDawn Genesis Industries Purity deck I call All-in Accord. It is a pretty simple aggro deck with a little bit of a backup plan. Our command zone is Klore, the Rapier Centurion, Droppod Battalion, and Support Drone. Klore is a staple of double FlameDawn Purity decks. With conditional unblockable and scaling stats, he demands an answer and properly supported can put out tremendous pressure. Droppod Battalion is one of the cards introduced in the most recent Revelations set. It is a solid tempo play that allows your other characters to trade up in value and survive against enemy blockers. Played from hand, it can make for a nasty surprise burst, which is why we run 3 of them in the main deck as well. Finally, our single GI Purity commander is a support drone. It is a solid, it's not really a flashy option. Its real value shines in matchups against Cult of Veror, where it can save Klore against turn 1 Lightning Blast. Main deck consists mostly of the FlameDawn aggression package. Characters with charge, such as Paladins, FlameDawn Hound, and Greedy Ransacker, allow us to keep putting on the pressure, especially with the help of Droppod Battalions. If the opponent does not draw enough control and stalling options, it is possible to win through classic rushdown strategy. The deck's key piece comes into place 1 hour early aggressions peters out. Talich Accords are an 8-cost ability that once played gives characters in your hand +4/+4 every turn. It is a pretty slow play on its own, but if the opponent stops our attacks in their tracks, or perhaps gains bolt control, it can be a part of a very strong comeback. The optimal play line in that circumstance is turn 8 Talich Accords, turn 9 Trading Post for additional resources, followed by the Calamity on turn 10 to clear the board for the final push. At this point, whichever characters we had in the hand on turn 8 will have gained +12/+12, making even a basic FlameDawn Hound into a sizable damage threat at 1916. To make the most of the stat gains from the Talich Accord, deck runs multiple multi-strike cards, namely Emberstarters and Ancient Coyle Firestarter. Played after the Calamity turn, they can offer a tremendous amount of burst even if played alone. They also synergize well with the Droppod Battalions and the +4/+4 buff that they provide, which allows for strong damage even if the Talich Accords have not been played. Let's see if we can get into a game now. And here we are in a game against Ithril. Our opponent is running heavily deck with Exile's Purity, which is a little bit unpredictable. Our starting hands offer some amount of control with the FlameDawn Commandos, which are one of the best 1-drops in the game. Let's start traditionally by opening with our Klore. There's little that opponent can play on turn 1 that could threaten him, so we start with aggression. Turn 2, we will continue aggressive playline by playing FlameDawn Hound for its charge into 7 damage and setting up a 3rd turn Droppod Battalion. Now we have a choice of playline. Either continue putting pressure with the Droppod Battalion play to buff FlameDawn Hound and Klore here, or we can use our FlameDawn Commandos to deny Wealthy Noble and a rock chucker while using support drone to provide some additional value. It's turn 4, so we are looking at the risk of spontaneous combustion, which would clear our board in its current state. And since FlameDawn commandos and the drone don't do much against that possibility, let's see about the Droppod Battalion. Opponent played an aggressive line with Demonic Mercenary from Command. We still haven't seen what Evely is looking for, but since we seem to be in a race situation, let's see about using our Klore for maximum potential, and we can allow to support drone to champ block Demonic Mercenary, keeping our own tempo up. Intriguing, we are looking at Demonic Reflection on the Demonic Mercenary, which will create a rather threatening creature for our opponent, but we are keeping our own tempo pretty well, and we are still up on health thanks to the drone. And here we see our potential plan of Talich Accords into the Calamity. I wonder if the opponent will try to block, so we will keep up some pressure while pulling back Klore for an unblockable strike next turn. And let's see what is our opponent's plan here. Oh, Demonic Presence is rather unpleasant here. It also destroys our Calamity plan, given that the deck does not run any way to bring it back from the graveyard, which is a rather unhelpful circumstance. But we also see a number of ability cards which can be used to turn Klore into a much more intimidating character. Considering the fact that he has not attacked last turn, he is unblockable now, which makes additional 4 points of attack and plunder keyword, which will let him draw additional cards, combined with swift strikes, giving him additional attack, into a good damage source. Unless Mr. Opponent can remove Klore somehow, he is going to hit for over 20 damage. Well, 40 damage, almost. And this shows the situation where the rushdown can win us the game. Let's try to find another opponent. And here we are, getting into a game against Gaming Squiddle. Let's see what he has for us. And he is playing double Descendants of Dragons, a deck with Evely. And we can see from the start that we are looking at Hound the Stalwart, who will be a difficult character for us to deal with, though he will probably get quickly transformed by Evely's ability into something of 5 cost. Let's see what's Squiddle's plan. At this point, there's not much that we can easily do. I think drawing back our Klore to get his unblockable ready, and let's see if we can trade with whatever Gauhan changes for with our Hound. If that doesn't work, we will see next turn. The glorious warrior. We need to remember that against double Descendants of Dragons, a humble is always a risk against our Klore. Sadly, there's not much that we can do about it. We can't really easily trade against the Glorious Warrior at the moment, but we can use the fact that our Klore is momentarily unblockable and betting on the lack of removal on the opponent's side, namely we are betting against the humble, we can see if we will be able to get through 7, 11 damage and draw a card. And we will not. Here is the humble. Well, that was pretty unfortunate. With our current cards, let's see about continuing. Wait, no. We don't have 5 energy. It would have been nice to be able to play Firestarter and stumble on the Sheahan Captain to push 12 damage. Sadly, we don't have that option right now. We do want to keep pressure, however, so we might see about playing Paladin of the Dawn with Stumble just to try. Well, that is very unfortunate. We don't have a way to easily deal with enemy Crestmaw. And it doesn't appear like we are looking at being able to play the Talich Accords into Calamity plan. We will have to count on the draw. Right now, Cavalry Paladin is our hope to get some pressure and try to stay in the game. But it looks like a possible loss against superior control from double DoD. It is unfortunate that the opponent drew his Klore. Yes. Well, the best we can do at the moment is to try and efficiently spend our mana. Hopefully we might be able to do something with our Droppod Battalion, assuming that Emberstarter survives, but it is a difficult matchup, dependent on our ability to keep dealing pressure. Yes, morale decks. Well, with the current state of the game at 20 morale, there is little chance for us to win. 12 points of morale damage coming in from Crestmaw. and the 8 points of morale damage from a Glorious Warrior and Inspiring Soldier are enough to ensure our loss at the end of the turn. Possibly blocking with the Emberstarter could buy us some time, but actually with the Glorious Warrior stats, Emberstarter would die, dealing only additional 6 points of morale damage. At this point, we will resign and say GG. And we find ourselves in a game against What If Yellow, one of the best players in the game. Let's see what he has cooked up for us today. A double Cult of Verore and Warpath deck using Tormented Eidolon. Agent Coyle Singularity in command is interesting choice, suggesting the wish to draft multi-faction characters. And Tormented Eidolon will probably serve to ramp out something with its ability of increasing resources when on the battlefield. We will open with Support Drone targeting Klore in our command. It does buff him by +3/+3 on deploy speed, guaranteeing his survival against Lightning Blast even on enemy initiative. And just as we predicted, here is Lightning Blast dealing 4 damage to our Klore, who lives thanks to our little brave support drone. Nothing to do it but to do it. We will put in Klore. It is a little bit mana inefficient because it does not allow us to play Paladin of the FlameDawn at the same turn. But if enemy has another Lightning Blast soon, we want to hopefully put Klore out of its range using his innate +2/+2. Whether What If Yellow drew it remains to be seen. And here we see Agent Coyle Alpha 1, and luckily no Flame Blast. We can use this opportunity to try and put some more pressure with the Droppod Battalion from the command zone. We could have played Droppod Battalion from our hand, but we want that one to be a surprise. By playing the one in the command zone, we might have our opponent ignore Droppod Battalion in his combat calculations. Let's see if we can put on some more pressure. We also have our Talich Accords Calamity combo in hand, so if our aggression is stopped, we might hope for a comeback. Well, in our current situation, we would expect Rita's Guard to block again. At 5 resources, we can also see Overcharge Storm, or even Mass Death at 6 mana. So, instead, let's see about setting out a Paladin of the FlameDawn who cannot die from non-damage sources, so potential mass death can be avoided, and keeping Klore back for a moment also avoids any of the spot removals that target battlefield. Well, I did not see Once Was Clean coming, but it opens an opportunity for us to remove the automated Eidolon with FlameDawn Commando, preventing any future growth of the opponent's card and any future ramp. We will attack with our Klore and Droppod Battalion. We will also add a single Firestarter, Emberstarter. Hopefully we will be able to clear the blockers with Droppod Battalion and first circle of Emberstarter's multi-strike, as well as the drone. If we run into mass death, it will be unfortunate, but we do have enough fuel in hand to refuel. So let's see the plan. Well, Klore being removed is unfortunate, but somewhat unavoidable. We do get to put some pressure with the Emberstarter. And at the moment, What If Yellow is at the health threshold where we can kill him from hand if necessary after Talich Accords Calamity. At the moment, we still don't need that. We will shuffle back one Calamity, since we can only play a one anyway. And we will shuffle back one Talich Accords. Right now, we are in the phase where keeping up the aggression is necessary to put on pressure, but we can start transitioning into the turn 8 Talich Accords, turn 9 buff, and turn 10 Calamity for 11, before Agent Coyle Firestarter or Emberstarter for lethal. We will play turn 7 Morningstar Wayclearer just to keep up pressure while retaining the small characters as champ blockers, just to guarantee some amount of presence. We are not really afraid of mass death, which would be somewhat counterproductive with the amount of high morale cost and high value characters on the board. Well, time to play the key piece of our strategy, Talich Accords. We will keep Morningstar Wayclearer in Assault Zone just to keep on pressure. It is a sacrifice we are willing to make. Actually, let's reorder our hand just so any future draws, if we overburden our hand, we will discard only lower value cards. If you draw above the 8 cards limit that you can hold in hand, the leftmost card in your hand will be discarded, so it is important to keep the order of cards in hand in mind if you do not get rid of the cards you are holding at appropriate pace. And we see mass death, not an unexpected play, but a play that we are not too stressed about. Now we pay 9 to increase our resources by 1, and we can see that Agent Coyle Firestarter is starting to get bigger in our hand. Very aggressive turn by What If Red, putting us at risk of lethal. Luckily, we can play Calamity, removing all the characters from the board and not putting them into his graveyard, which prevents Infested Knight, that he might play, from becoming too big of an issue. Siphon structure, not optimal. It does bring What If Yellow up to 70 points of health. Well, we can play a little bit slower by using the characters that, let's see, that's 22 points of damage, 44 points of damage, and another 18 points of damage. We do have little on the board while keeping more damage threats in hand, including Swift Strikes with Cavalry Paladin, which can deal a surprising amount of damage through potential mass death. Even if we cannot finish the game right now with this attack, we can try once again next turn. And here we see mass death, which means we only deal 22 points of damage with our FlameDawn Paladin, who cannot be killed from non-damage sources. We will play another Cavalry Paladin. We will give him Swift Strikes. This way, even if What If Yellow manages to deal with Paladin of the FlameDawn, Cavalry Paladin still deals 40 points of damage. And that is a very scary play from What If Yellow, with 20 points of damage from One Source Clean, and 5 points of damage from Siphoning Strike. Luckily, we have dealt just enough damage to win this one. This completes our deck spotlight of All-in Accord. It is a simple and fun deck that I hope you will enjoy. And if you have any ideas to improve or change the deck, I am happy to hear them in the comments.